Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining me today on today's drop-in session. Of course, we're going to be looking at version 20, so the new update from 3CX. There's quite a lot to cover today in this webinar, so I'm going to try and keep it, the sections short and sweet. But of course, if you've got any questions, drop them in. There's a lot of changes with the 3CX, a lot of new features coming. So we're going to look at some of the more, or we're going to highlight some of the certain elements to the update. As always, get your questions in. You should have a little box on the right-hand side of your screen. It should either say chat or questions. Drop them in, and I'll take a look at those at the end. And we'll get every question answered. So, in terms of the agenda today, so we're going to look at the API. So there's some improvements and new APIs coming. Some are already implemented. We're going to look at improvements to reporting. We're going to look at improvements to the transcription. There's a big part of this update is the troubleshooting side. So it's really, really cool features with the on the troubleshooting, make things a lot easier to support. So we're going to take a look at those. Of course, two-factor authentication, a very popular and in-demand feature that's arrived in version 20. And then we're going to take a look at roadmap, what's coming, there was actually a candidate update yesterday, so there's a couple of new things that have actually just already been released, but we'll take a look at those, and then there's of course a Q&A at the end. So in terms of the API and sort of changes around the new API, so there is an introduction to what 3CX are calling the root point API, which is really allowing more configuration options and easier call routing. Obviously, there is a little bit of code and development work involved, but really for your larger customers, it really makes things easier to capture the calls and process the calls. So, for example, if you had let's say a large call center, or even doesn't have to be a large call center, if you had a customer where they're very much account manager focused, you want to be able to analyze a caller ID, so a call that's incoming, and assign that number to a specific agent or their account manager based on the number or contact that's coming in, which can really, really be useful for eliminating digital receptionists and reducing the number of options really available, and giving the end user, person that's calling, a better experience, making things a lot quicker, and should reduce the waiting time as well for users, just giving them an overall better experience. So yeah, idea being you can grab that call and you can maybe send that to an account manager, because the system knows who's assigned to that number, for example. So in terms of reporting, so there's been a lot more of a visual update to reports. Obviously, as we can see here, there's a lot more, or it's a lot nice. It's nicely laid out, but also when you click into a report, you can see it in a lot more of a visual way, which is really, really nice. So you can download this as well, of course, but that should just show on the 3CX client, and you can see all the information, right there and then in the system, which is really, really nice. There's also been an improvement to the recording archive. So archiving can now be done immediately after a call. This is in addition to the daily, weekly, and monthly archiving schedules. This is really, really great for failover systems, to make sure you've got the most up-to-date system in place. It does take a little bit more processing power. Obviously, if you're after every call sending an archive, or sending that to the storage, it's going to take a little bit more processing, so I'll just keep that in mind. But again, really useful for systems when an overflow is in place. So in terms of the transcription, so main changes really come about from Google Speech version 1. API is going to be going end of life, essentially. It's going to be no more, and it's going to be moving to version 2. Of course, with version 20 coming out, it just made sense to implement that into this update and use the Google Speech API version 2. So transcription can now be done on the entire recording as opposed to 1 minute before, which is really, really nice. For longer calls, you've got your existing transcription configurations will need to be redone, I'm afraid, but it shouldn't hopefully take too long to get those set up. And then, overall, the transcription quality should be a lot more, or should be improved in the terms of the accuracy of the transcription. with the new Google API. Obviously, they've made some improvements to theirs. So overall, just a nice improvement. So a big part of the version 20 is the troubleshooting side. So there's quite a few new features. One of them being the event log. So it's been greatly improved with far more information available to hand. Activity log and Wireshark are needed less. That's kind of the idea, to hopefully make things a bit quicker. But as we can see here, we've got a couple of different, well, we've got a load of different information. So we can see the source. So we can see it's, in this top error one, we've got, it's come from the system manager. It's in the default department, and it gives you details on the error. So in this case, it looks like we're trying to send an email or a welcome email to an email address, but it's failed. Of course, having that just to hand in the event log makes it really, really simple to see what's sort of going on, and you can then fix the problem. You can, of course, also filter by the level. So if you just information, so something like database maintenance task has been finished, might be not that important. So you might want to filter these by the errors, and you can see them a bit clearer. But yeah, improving the speed of resolution, and that's the idea behind it. So hopefully making things for your end customer a lot better. Of course, there is notifications. I mean, this was an existing part, already in place, but you can set an email address up to receive notifications. So if something, like the license limit has been reached, you can do that from within the same place. So get those set up as well. So again, further on the troubleshooting, so you can now directly download a bulk of information direct from the dashboard. So over here we can see, we've got export, system health. You've got all your different types of information you might need here. So system info, processors, connections, making basic troubleshooting much quicker and easier. So the support information package is still available if it's a more complex issue. They can still be generated. And of course, you can now reboot the operating system from the dashboard. So we can see on here under troubleshooting, we've got restart OS, making things a bit easier if you're remotely troubleshooting the issue. The classic turn it on and off again usually fixes things. So that's really nice to have as well from a troubleshooting perspective. Another new feature with the troubleshooting is the VoIP quality monitor. Now this is a really, really nice feature, and really when it's important, or it's really useful when there's an issue, but we're having trouble replicating it. So quite a classic scenario where a user's got an issue, and then when you actually try to come to replicate it, you just can't replicate it. You don't know how to fix it then. So this allows you to track those. It allows you to trigger a monitor of a user for either 1, 3, 5, or 7 days. And you can actually trigger on an active call as well. So on here, for example, we've got the left screenshot is showing there's a caller. So we've got Sam Smith here. We can right click on him and we can select monitor connection quality. And this is going to generate, after the call, it's going to generate this monitor connection quality report, which has got loads of information. So we can take a look at some, essentially allowing us to see which leg of the call might be the issue. We can see the packet loss. We can see loads of information there. So it's at least a first step into trying to figure out a problem. So a really, really nice feature. And it's going to just be enabled on a user as well. So you can go to a user and trigger the monitor for, as I said, 1, 3, 5, or 7 days. So two-factor authentication. I'm sure everyone knows what this is. Really nice feature. It's obviously quite a highly requested feature. So very helpful for public computers, just making things a lot more secure. Of course, you've got the option to have Microsoft authentication or Google authenticators, but then there's also a built-in one, so you can get an email through with a security code. So in terms of the roadmap, so I know we haven't probably covered every new feature of the update, but the idea with these is to keep them short and sweet. But there are a lot of features that have come to version 20, and there's also a lot of features that are coming. So scheduled reports and hot desking. Obviously, that was a feature that was in the version 18. Currently, it's not implemented, although they have made some progress. So this is one of the things that there's actually, I think there was an update literally yesterday, or at least a candidate update with these features that are implemented. So they're making progress on it. Of course, if your customers are quite reliant on scheduled reports or hot desking, you might just want to hold off upgrading to version 20, but those will be coming in the very near future. We've also got on-premise video conferencing servers, which will be coming, which is really nice to help keep complete control of your data or your customers' data and having everything on site. There's also going to be group SMSs, so you can have multiple people in one SMS, so as opposed to one-to-one. There's going to be Teams integration improvements coming. There's also going to be naming of DDIs for inbound calls. So this will be really useful, so you can actually see who's calling. You can now set them as a contact, and you can see who that user is that's calling from their DDI. And more APIs are going to be coming. So we've got configuration, and then a client-side API which will be coming in the near future. Configuration API is really more for easy management of users and setting them up and allowing a lot more automation. Client-side is going to be more real-time information from the system. So user status, call statuses, things like that. And all this should be in the fairly short term as well. So in the next couple of months, I imagine things will be rolled out on these. Obviously, with the schedule reports and hot desking is one of the priorities. So in a little bit of the further future, some really cool features coming. So to the wall board. So there's going to be more configurable, customizable. And there's also going to be an outbound wall board that's going to become available, which will be really, really nice, because a lot of people do like the wall boards, especially for your more enterprise customers. It's quite an important feature. There's also going to be a new receptionist view, which is going to be optimized for faster call handling and directing those calls to the correct department, which will be coming in the future. So these are planned, so fairly limited information, but those are going to be coming in the future. So that's it in terms of the content. If there are any questions, drop them in. I'll have a look here as well. I can see we've got one already. So do you have to use the two-factor authentication? No, you don't have to use it. It's completely optional. You can actually set this per user as well. So if that's something you want, you can set it per user. But of course, ideally, you probably want to get this set up just to make things a lot more secure. So definitely recommended. Get your questions in. Should be on the right-hand side of your screen. Should be able to see the questions or chat, depending on what version. Are there planned price increases for 3.6 version 20? At the moment, I'm not aware of any price increases. It's a potential. I mean, I'm sure we'll have more information closer to the time if that is going to happen. But at the moment, I'm not aware of price increases, but we'll definitely make people aware. Once that's going to happen. Where can you restart the OS from? So just from the dashboard. So you can literally just restart. So there should just literally be a button, and it'll restart the OS from the dashboard. So that's the main dashboard. And you'll need admin rights for that. But yeah, just from the dashboard. Of course, appreciate everyone joining today. Of course, any more questions, drop them in. I'll be sticking around for a few more minutes. But appreciate everyone's time. So as I said, get your questions in. But I'll be sticking around for a few more minutes. For customers who need schedule reporting, can we still deploy on version 18? Yes, you should still be able to deploy on version 18 currently, and then until the schedules reports are available. It is very, very imminent. There is actually a blog post I think 3.6 put out yesterday, and it's come as part of the new update. I think it will just still be sort of in beta, but it is very, very imminent. So I can't see any more questions coming in. I think I'm going to end it for today. But of course, if you do have any more questions you think of after the webinar, just give me a call. My name's Jason. There's some contact information that should be on your screen as well. If you do want to contact me and have a discussion, I'll be happy to go through any questions you've got. So I appreciate everyone joining today, and we'll see you on the next one.